I am Dr. Mohammad Rafi, Associate Professor, Department of Cyber Security at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today, I want to discuss about network, the programming and management subject, in which the topic is select the function. Select the function. So, what is the meaning of the select the function? Generally, these the select the function can be used sending the request for data communication from primary device to the secondary device. If we want to establish the communication from primary device to the secondary other device, now we have to sending the select the message, selecting the particular device. Here we have selected the secondary device. This device we have selected. If it is available to communicating, now which is sending the acknowledgement to the primary device. If it is sending the acknowledgement of ready to communicating, immediately the primary device sending the data to particular the selected secondary other devices and sends the acknowledgement. So like this here, by using the selecting function, by using select the function, now we can establish the communication between the primary devices and secondary devices. Here, these are the select function selecting in pole or select the function now which allowing the process for the communication to instructing the kernel operating system to wait for one of the multiple events to occur and to wake up the process. Only when one or more of the events occur, when specified the amount of time has passed. Here is the select function now which allow a process to determine whether it can read from or write to one or more open file the descriptors without the blocking. So this is about the usage of the select function. By using this select the function, finally we can establish the communication between the primary devices and secondary devices. Here, this select function is useful for network programming because it allows to handling the multiple secondary device other connections and data sources without creating the multiple other threads or other processes. This can improve the performance between the two devices. Communicating two devices, the performance, efficiency and scalability can be improved by using the select function. Here is these are the select function now which is improve the efficiency of program. Whatever the program is written by using Unix, Python, here that efficiency can be improved as well as simplify the logic and synchronizations. This select and pre-select which allows a program to monitoring the multiple file the descriptors. The main difference between the select and pre-select. Select here now which is nothing but a specific value structure. Here which is selecting the specific the value of the structure, it will be the selected. P the selected here, the particular here the select is particular values. Select function now particular the content can be the selected and establish the communication. Here this pre-select here specification. P means here the specification now will whatever the data now we are selecting for the communication which is having the specific value. Specification is there which allowing the program to monitoring the multiple file descriptors. Here is So which is the waiting until one or more of the file descriptors now which is they become ready for some the classes of the input output or the operations. Here that is example input is the possible. A file descriptor it is considered ready if it is possible to perform the corresponding input output operations. That means example read without blocking, read 2, read 1, read 3. Here that can be read the any other value without other blocking. The operation of the select p-select is identical with the three differences. What are that the three other differences are? These are all the three differences. First serial number here 1 select function now which uses the timeout. So that is a structure time value. Select means here is a time value of a structured. So with the seconds are nanoseconds. The time value should be measured in terms of the seconds and micro or the seconds in a select the function. If you take pre-select the function now which is uses the structure specific time specification. Time here it is using the time value that is 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours. Here it is a specification. The interval, time interval which is the giving. P-select which is giving the time interval. Within this the time interval now we can process the data between the primary device and secondary other device. Here the measurements are the seconds or nanoseconds. In select the measurements can be used here seconds and microseconds. That means data can be sent. This amount of the data can be sent in seconds, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, or 2 microseconds, 3 microseconds. Now here this is the measurement of our select and p-select measurements are second and nanoseconds. Second one is second difference. Select may be update the timeout argument to indicate how much time was left, and p-select doesn't changes the time argument in data the communication between the primary and the secondary device. Select has the no signal mask. Here if while using the selector which is having the no signal mask arguments and behaves as a p-selector that is called with null signal mask. So these are all the differences between the selector and p-selector. The possibilities for selector the function. Here is the possibilities are wait forever. Now returns only when the descriptor is ready. That means here specify the timeout argument as a null. Now it is the argumenting, specifying the arguments, while wait forever returning only one other descriptor that is s is ready. That means now which is specifying the timeout argument as a null. And the next the possibility for select function is wait up to a fixed amount of other time. Now this the select the function up to getting the acknowledgement from the secondary device which is waiting up at a fixed amount of time. After receiving the acknowledgement from the secondary device, then only the primary device sending the data to selected primary device. Do not wait at all. Next, the possibility is a do not wait at all. Now, which returns the immediately after checking the descriptors. Here is now the polling. That means which specifies the timeout argument as pointing to a time value structure where the timer value is 0. So this is about the do not wait at all. And the wait is normally interrupted if The process catches a signal and returns from the signal handler. Select might returns an error of the EINTR. EINTR actual return value from the function, that is minus 1. Minus 1, which indicates the error. Here is error means here now data transmission. We can't do the data signaling transmission from primary device to the secondary device. Generally, if it is minus 1, suppose if it is 0, the return value of the function, select the function is a 0 or 1, we can transmit the data from the primary device to the secondary device. A file descriptor is a unique identifier. What is a file descriptor? It is a unique identifier or reference that the operating system which is assigning to a particular selected other file in a particular selected other device when it is opened. So these allowing the programs to interact with the opened files or sockets or which is supporting for the communications and or the other input output resources. So this is about the file descriptor. Now finally we can say it as it is an identifier which refers the operating system. That can be this the file descriptor now which is assigning the system assignment, operating system assignment can be done by using the file descriptor. If it is assignment can be, if you can done the assignment to primary device to the secondary device, then only this primary device get the acknowledgement from the secondary devices. The syntax of the select the function. So this is the syntax of the select the function. Here is the select function. The syntax is hash include select header file system or select header file sys.h or select.h and sys.h or time.h. Here is the function. Now we can use int select, int max fdp1 or fd underscore set, read set. It's a pointer type pointing the particular file descriptor set. Here also writing set. Now we are writing to the particular, writing the content into the particular file descriptor and except set and fd set construct time value. Construct here is now time value which is refers the time value, structured time value for a select function. Select function here always using the time value. Suppose if you take the p select now which is using the time specific value. Only the time specific means specification. Will give the specification at 2 o'clock, at 3 o'clock, at 4 o'clock. That means here specifying the time interval. Within this the time interval only now the communication can be sent from primary device to the secondary device. Whenever the p select the function is activated at particular time interval only, we can sending the information from primary device to the particular selected secondary device and returns. That means here positive count of ready descriptors, 0 and the timeout, -1 and error structured time value. Here is that means 0 means here it is a timed out and -1 means error will be occurred while communicating between the primary other device and secondary other device. Here is long other TV underscore seconds. That means here time value that can be measured in terms of seconds and long the time value is a microseconds. USEC, that is a microseconds. Here is it is a structured time values. Structured the time value. Select the function now. We are indicating with the structured time value. That is measurements are seconds and micro. The seconds can be measured. This select value. So this is a syntax for the select the function call. By using this the syntax, now it will be connected to the particular whatever the device we have selected, that the particular selected device can be selected and sending the data or information to the selected device by using this function. Next, select function descriptor argument. Here, while using the select function for communicating, generally what type of the arguments now we are using. So by using these arguments now, we are passing the parameters, we are passing the data, we are passing the data from device 1 to the device 2, primary device to the secondary device. Here is a read set. That means here these argument, whatever the read set argument you are using, this argument now which is descriptor for checking the readable. Write set is nothing but it is a descriptor for checking the writable. And except set, that means it is a descriptor for checking the exceptional other conditions. That means here generally we can use the two exceptional conditions. So first one is a arrival of out of band data for the socket. The second exception is the presence of control the stated information to be read from the master side of the pseudo terminal. That is, it will be ignored if you pass the three arguments as a null. So you have the high the precise the timer, so then the sleeper the function. Next, descriptor sets, file descriptor sets. What are the file descriptor sets? Are array of integers, and 4 macros are the file descriptor sets. Generally these descriptor sets can be used in a files sets. Here is a array of integers. Array of integers, that means here each bit in each integer which is the corresponds to a descriptors, that is fd underscore set. 4 macros. Here the 4 macros are void fd underscore 0, that is fd underscore set, fd set, file descriptor set, which is a pointer type. That means here fd 0, so which clear all bits, whatever the bits now we are utilized in a file descriptor set, all the bits can be, that means these bits are the data transmitting bits. It is these all the bits can be cleared. All bits, whatever the bits you are using in a file, the descriptor set, so it should be the cleared. And void fd set, that means here int fd file descriptor set, that is a star fd set. Now which is turn on the bit for a file descriptor in a fd set. And next the macro is a void fd underscore clr. That means here int fd set pointer type. That means here these macro which is turn off the bits for fd in a fd set. Int fd is set, that is int fd underscore set, fd set the pointing, so is the bit for the fd on in fd sets. The examples of the descriptor are the set macros. Here is the fd set or reset. fd 0, that means all bits are off. fd 0 means that is ampersand of the resetting. Resetting means the meaning means initially in which initiating all the bits, whatever the bits now you are using in a file descriptor, which is all bits are off in off position. Here is FD set. That is, if it is a one means here turn on the all bits are in active state. If all bits are in active state, now which is ready to transmitting, the data is, which indicates the data is ready to transmit from the primary device to the secondary device. Here is turn on bit FD1. We'll see FD set the 4 ampersand or reset, which is a turn on the bit FD4, and which is a turn on the FD set 5, which is turn on the bit FD5. Whatever the bit now, if you want to turn on, once if it is activated, here if you want to turn on here, now just simply we can use it as a giving the other number bit FD file descriptor 1, file descriptor 4, file descriptor other 5. It will be turned on with this other turn on in here. Now we can transmit the data from primary device to the secondary device. And so the max FDP1 argument. So about the maximum file descriptor arguments, here is these arguments, whatever the arguments now you are using, which specify the number of the descriptors to be tested, and this value is the maximum descriptors to the tested plus 1. Here is the argument descriptors are 0, 1, 2 up to the including maximum file descriptor. So whatever the file size, maximum file size, up to that now your values can be utilized for the testing. Here is the constant FD set size. That means now which is defined by the by including the select.header file or system.header file. So it is a number of descriptors in the FD set data types. Here is its value. FD set size value by the value is by default here 1024. It is a set size of the file other descriptor. But here few programs use that many other descriptors. That is the reason behind that is the maximum of the file descriptors arguments are existed. Along with the button of the calculating its values is for the efficiency. Although each file descriptor set has a room for many other descriptors, the typically that is a 1024. So this is a much more than the number of used by a typical process. The kernel gain efficiency by not copying the unneeded portion of the descriptor sets between the process and the kernel by not other testing bits that are always 0. Here is read set, write set and accept set has the value result arguments. Now we are using it. These are all the value result argument. We see select modifies the descriptor sets pointed to by the read set argument, write set argument and accept set the pointers. These three arguments are value result arguments. Now value result argument means here, so reading, writing, the operation is performed or not. So what is the result of reading? What is the result of writing between this primary device and secondary other device? What is the exceptions? Here is now when we call the functions. When we call the functions, that is a select or deselect the functions from the primary device. Now we have to, so we'll specify the value of the file descriptors. That is why, because which is interested in and on return value. If it is written -1, select value. If it is written -1, that is the error is occurred. If it is written 1 or 0, that means if it is written 1 here, we can say it as a the file is effectively transmitted from the device 1 to the device other 2. These are the result which indicates which descriptors are ready. Here, and we use the FD is set macro on returns to test a specific descriptor in an FD set structure. Here is now any descriptor that is not ready on returns will have its the corresponding bit cleared in the descriptor set. Here to handling these we are turn on all the bits in which now we are interested in all the descriptor sets. Each time we call the selector or pSelect functions. And there is return value of a select. Return values now we have discussed about the return value of a select or the pSelect. Here is the return value from this the function which indicates the total number of bits. That means that are ready across all file descriptor sets. If the timer value which expires before any of the descriptor are ready, a value of 0 is returned. A return value of -1 which indicates an error which can happen. For example, here if the function is interrupted by catching the signal from primary device to the secondary device. -1 which indicates the error. So 0 that means data is transferred, or 1 instead of return value here 0 or you may use the 1. If your return value is a 1 which indicates the data is transmitted from primary device to the secondary device successfully. So these are the return values of a select function. Mainly this select function, pSelect functions can be used for data communication between the primary device to the secondary device. These are the select function and pSelect function which are selecting the specified secondary devices, and if the secondary device are sending the positive acknowledgement, immediately these are the select the function from the primary device. Now we are sending the data, we are sending the information to secondary device. These are use of the select and pSelect functions. And conditions for a ready descriptors. Now here generally we are using the we are using the some conditions while using the select to return the ready for sockets. Socket here which is used for sockets are used for establishing the communication between the primary device to secondary device. With help of these sockets now is effectively we can establish the communication between these two other devices. Here is what is the uses of the socket means. Here a socket is ready for reading the data if any of the conditions, that is if any of the conditions are true. Now it is reading the data. So it is the socket. Here the first of the condition is a number of bytes of the data in a socket which receives the buffer which is greater than or equal to the current size of the low watermark. Watermark should be very low for the socket receive buffer. A read operations on a socket will not block and will return a value greater than 0. That means 1. Here watermark value is a low. That means 0 or 1. Greater than 0 means it may take the 1. If it is 1 here, the data can be transferred. Now we can set this the low watermark. By setting the low watermark here, now we are sending the data from the primary device to the secondary device. Here the watermark value is 0 or greater than the 0. That means 1. Greater than 0 means 0 or 1 we can use. If it is this 0 or 1 here, now we are sending the data. By using here by using so underscore RCV, receiving low watermark, low watermark can be received. That is a socket option. Depends upon the socket option. So it is a default to 1. So for TCP protocol or UDP, the protocol the sockets, whatever the sockets now we are using, for that here for default value now we are setting it as a 1. If it is a default value is 1 now, that means these TCP UDP sockets now, which is receiving the data from primary device to the secondary specified selected secondary device, now we can sense the data. And here if you see second the condition here is in this one here, the second is the read half of the connection is the close. That means here the read half of the connection is closed means what is the meaning here? TCP transmission control protocol connections that has received a final the signals. Final the signals, that means FIN. Received as a FIN means finally this particular data is whatever the data you are sending from the client from this primary device, now it will be considered as a final FIN. A read operation on the socket will not block and will returns the 0. Will returns the 0 or 1. If it is a final, that means data is reading effectively. Data is transmitted effectively from primary device to the secondary device. Now it will be considered as a 0 or 1. It will be considered as a final. Finally, the data transmission has done completed. Here, the socket is a listening socket, and the number of the completed connections are non-zero. If it is listened, the socket is listened at the secondary device side or the primary device side. If it is a listening means here now ready to establishing the connection. Accept the request. Listen means accepting the request. The secondary device is accept the request of a primary device. Once if it is listening, the socket is listening at the secondary device side. Now the data can be sent by the primary device to secondary device. Like this, now the effectively now will establish the communication. Here the best example here now railway reservation, the ticket issuing. In ticket issuing, what's happened means here the server, the primary the device, the server now which is sending the signals to the server mission. The server mission here, if the vacancies are available for the seat the reservation in a railways, if it is available, then sending the positive acknowledgement, that is a 0 or 1, positive acknowledgement 1. If the client receives the positive acknowledgement, immediately now issue the reservation, can done the reservation and issue the ticket to the customer. So this is the best real-time example. Here the socket is listening the sockets, and the number of the completed connections is non-zero. That means now we can consider as a listening means is 1. We can consider, if you consider as a 1 here, that means the data the connectivity is happened and the data transmission will be completed. The fourth one here, if we take socket error, is a pending the socket error. A read operation on the socket will not block and will return an error. So that is a -1 with a error number which is set to the specific error condition. Here is these are the pending errors can also be fetched and cleared by calling get sock opt and specifying the error socket option. Error code will be specified. -1 which indicates the error. That means here which is waiting for the acknowledgement. The primary device waiting for so if acknowledgement are not received for data transmission, isn't it? So that's why the error will be arise. That is a -1. If it receives the -1 acknowledgement as acknowledgement, so which automatically which identified it as some error. The transmission error is arised between the primary device and secondary device. Generally, which indicates the error. So that is a show error socket option. You see, second condition is a socket is ready for writing if any of the four other conditions are true. So that is, the first one is when the socket is ready for writing, performing the writing operation. Here the number of bytes are available in a particular socket side buffer if it is greater than or equal to the current size of the low water mark. If it is greater than or equal to the low water mark for the socket which sends the buffer, and either the socket is connected or the socket does not require a connections, that is UDP, user datagram protocol. This means that if you set the socket to the non-blocking, a writer operation will not block and will return a positive value, that is the number of bytes are accepted by the transport layer. And the next the condition is here, we can set this low watermark using the SO send low watermark socket option. This low watermark normally which default to the port number 2048 for transmission control protocol or use UDP socket other protocols. So these write the half of the connection is closed. That means here a write operation on the socket generally which generate the signal the pipe. Here is a socket using the non-blocking which is connected as a completed the connection or connection as a failed. So connection failed, that means now which indicates the error. Connection fail means which indicates the error, so error socket option can be raised. Third the condition now, if we see a socket has been exceptional condition which is pending if there is out of the band data for the socket or the socket is still at the out of band mark. That means here now out of the band mark now we can specify some other functions, that is a p-select the function. This p-select function was invented by the portable operating system interface, that is a POSIX, portable operating system interface, is now supported by the many of the Unix operating variants. So the code for this one is p-select code hash include select.h header file, hash include signal.h, hash include time.h. Here is int p-select, int maximum file descriptor 1, fd set, read set, fd set, write set, fd set, accept set, and constructor structure time space timeout constant constructor signal the set, that is a signal mask. Here is now written the count of the ready descriptor, that is a 0 on timeout, -1 on error. P-select containing the two channels generally from the normal the selector the functions. P-select uses the p-select means specific time interval which is indicates the times specification structure. So this is another portable operating system interface the invention. This is a specific time the structure will be specified instead of the time value structure. Time value select which is select now which is uses the time value structure, but pre-select now we are using the specific time structure, particular time only. So we have to establish the communication. So after time is completed, the time is over. Now simply error signal will be generated within this the time limit here. Within this whatever the time you have set on that the particular time only. So we have to send the signals. So that is a TV underscore n signals. That is a time value. Time value that is a nanoseconds. Time value should be measured. TV underscore n seconds member means time value that can be specified in terms of the nanoseconds. The member of the So newer structure which specifies the nanoseconds, whereas the TV underscore the users here is the member of the older structure now which specifies in microseconds. Struct time specification, that is a time underscore TV underscore second, and at long time value it is a nanoseconds. Nanoseconds, here is the time value can be specified in the seconds. This is about the P select. The condition here is next P select which is adds a sixth argument. A pointer to a signal mask generally which allows the programmer, which allows the program to disable the delivery of a certain signals. Test some global variables that are set by the handlers. For these, now disabling the signal and then calling the pselect the function, telling it to the reset the signal mask. So this is a pselect add a sixth argument, and the programs generally programs in a Unix operating system, signal handler for signal intelligence, SIGINT, signal intelligence, now which is just set the global interrupt flag and returns. That means if the process is blocked, so in a calling to select the function, the return from the signal handler now which is causes the functions to return with the error number which is set to the EINTR, that is a error interrupt, which is now we are setting the error interrupt, but when select is called, the code for this one is here is if interrupt flag, that is a signal intelligence which handles the interrupt signal, handling the interrupting signal. Interrupting signal means here now error will be whenever the errors are arising, generally the interrupting signals can be sent. That means aborted, the data communication is stopped. Interruption means here the data communication between the primary device to secondary device is the stop. The signals are occurring in a, here is the lost if n ready is equals to the select which is less than 0, if error number which is equals to the E enter, if interrupt the flag and handle interrupt here is now. So this is the code for the signal the intelligence and signal the interruption between the primary device and the secondary device. The problem is that between the test of the interrupt flag and the call to the select function, the signal is occurs between the primary device and the secondary device, it will be the last. If the select is blocked forever, with the pselect the function, now we can now code this as the example here which is reliable. And signal set T, new mask and old mask and the zero mask. Here is the signal at the empty set at the rate of the zero mask, signal at the empty set at the rate of the new mask, signal add set at the rate of the new mask, signal INT. So this is the signal set new mask or old mask, zero mask functions. And signal pro mask. Signal pro mask here, if you see, signal that is a procedure, signal procedure for the mask, that is a signal block. Arguments are, now we are using it as a signal blocking. If any error is arised, the signal should be blocked. The interruption is arised, signal will be the blocked between the primary device and secondary devices. And new mask, that is addressing the new mask and old mask will be addressed. So blocking the signal interaction generally. That is if interrupt flag is arised, if it is interruption is arised, which handle the signals. Interruption the signals will be handled by the primary device or secondary device. Wherever the signal is blocked, that will be handled. Suppose signals are blocked at a server at the primary device side, the primary device will be handle the signal, or signals are blocked at the secondary device side, it will be handled. Secondary device will be handles the signals. And error number is E interrupt, error interrupt. If interrupt flag, now it is arise, handling the interrupting the signals from the server or client, that is a primary device or the client device. Is before testing the interrupt the flag variables, we have to block the signaling intelligence now, which inform to the primary device and secondary device about the information, what collected informations are sending from primary device to the secondary device. Now that can be indicated when the P select is called, it is replaces the signal mask of the process with an empty set here, 0 mask, and then checks the descriptor and the possible going to the sleep. But when a P select is returns, the signal mask of the process is reset to its value before P select was called. That is signal, the intelligence will be blocked. And textbooks, these are all the references, reference books and textbooks, web the references. The textbooks are the Richard Steven Unix Network Programming, the Pearson Education, third edition 2008, and Subramanian Network Programming Principles and Practices, and Wesley. These are the publication, first edition. These are all the reference books and web the references. So this is about the select the function in a network programming. Mainly the select the functions can be utilized for data or communication between the primary device to secondary device. Here these are the selecting from, by selecting these are the function. By selecting this as a function here, now particular device can be, secondary device can be selected. That is a device 1, device 2, device 3. Here is a particular device can be selected and transmitting the data. Here is now you can see the number of secondary devices. By using this the select the function, now whatever the device we want, now we can select the particular device and transmitting the data. So this is about the select the function, and so these are all the references.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.